colonial rule. Renowned historian Bipin Chandra had rightly said, out of the experience of this attempt to defy openly the foreign rulers and the government they had set up was born a new sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. Third,
So this gave lot of self-confidence to the people. First time openly they were defying, instead of doing something covetously, that means on the sly, or secretly, openly they were defying the government and said that we will not cooperate with you. So this kind of a thing gave a lot of confidence to the people that they can now go one step ahead also. Okay. Yeah. The next.
Third, the Congress became a revolutionary movement. It transformed the Indian National Congress from a deliberative assembly into an organization for action. It became the organizer and leader of the masses in their national struggle. Thus, the Congress became a force to reckon with.
Yeah. Now the Congress is no longer an organization which sits and debates and discusses and sends memorandums and petitions, waiting helplessly for the government to take action. Gone were those days. Now it was a time for action. So now they showed, the INC became strong and it started showing the British that if you don't, pay heed to our demands, we can go to any extent. Okay. So from a deliberative assembly, it became an organization of action. Okay. The meaning of deliberative is one which talks and discusses. That is called deliberation. In English, what do we mean by deliberation? Deliberation means discussions and talks. So it was not a group of people who were discussing and deliberating. Rather, it became an organization of action. Clear? Next.
Fourth, fostered Hindu-Muslim unity. It fostered Hindu-Muslim unity, which could be seen in the merger of the Khilafat issue with this movement. It provided an opportunity to the Congress to bring the urban Muslims into the national movement by convincing them that the nation was equally concerned with the problems affecting them.
So the merger of the Khilafat movement was very useful in fostering Hindu-Muslim unity. So that was also one good, outcome of this non-cooperation movement. Okay. Next.
Fifth, promoted social reforms. As a consequence of the non-cooperation movement, several steps were taken in the direction of prohibition and removal of untouchability. Many national schools and colleges were set up in different parts of the country. The boycott of the foreign goods led to the promotion of Indian handicrafts and industries. Khadi became the symbol of the national movement.
Yes. So this promoted a lot of social reform. So many new things, good things were happening. We were becoming self-reliant. Khadi was being popularized. And women were, coming ahead in politics. They were also coming out of the shadows or coming out of their houses. And even untouchability and such things also. The society was getting rid of all these stigmas and all these bad practices. Okay, next.
Sixth, spread nationalism to every part of the country. The movement gave a new boost to nationalism in India. At its annual session at Nagpur in December 1920, changes were made in the constitution of the Congress. Provincial Congress committees were reorganized on the basis of linguistic areas. The Congress was now to be led by a working committee of 15 members, including the president and the secretaries. This would enable the Congress to function as a continuous political organization and would provide it with the machinery for implementing resolutions. The Congress organization was able to reach down to villages. Its membership fee was reduced to 4 annas per year to enable the rural and urban poor to become its member.
Yeah. Before the non-cooperation movement was launched, or at the time when the decision to launch the non-cooperation movement was taken, what they made some changes in the organization of the INC. So they said that now we should have regional leaders also. Otherwise, this is getting only confined to the North India or one part of, India where the leaders are there. What about the regional people? India being such a big country, there were other places where, who also were working towards freedom, but, it has to be a unified approach. It is not that, different organizations are carrying out different things in different parts of the country. That will not give strength. It has to be one movement which has to spread across the country and everybody has to participate in that. That will give strength to the freedom struggle. So they realized that, and what did they do? They made Congress working committees in all the different parts of the country. So the Congress working committees had means regional members. So in Tamil Nadu, the Congress working committee had Tamil speaking leaders and regional people. So they could connect with the people in their own language. They could connect to the people living there and they could persuade them. The local leaders could persuade them to join the non-cooperation movement and make it a nationwide event. Did you understand? So this spread nationalism. In a way, we are bringing the whole country together. So this led to the spread of nationalism. Last point.
7th, popularize the cult of Swaraj. The goal of the non-cooperation movement was to attain Swaraj within the British Empire, if possible, and outside, if necessary. The Congress realized the nature and value of the popular support, and though the movement failed immediately to attain Swaraj, it definitely came nearer to it.
Yeah. So the immediate objectives definitely were not fulfilled, but it had a lasting impact and it made a very big difference to the freedom struggle. Okay. So that was the importance of the non-cooperation movement. Yes, Vaishnavi? Vaishnavi, your voice is nothing, we could hear what you said.
Beatboxing.
Okay, tell again. Hello, we can't hear you. Is something wrong with your headphones? Remove the headphones and talk normally.
Now am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible. Tell.
अगर उनको स्वराज चाहिए था तो ब्रिटिश एम्पायर में क्यों चाहिए? पूरा ले लो ना.
We haven't reached. That is what I'm saying. See, everything goes through stages. Right at the beginning, we ourselves are not sure what we want. It goes through stages and then we realize that this is also not correct and we want something more. Did you understand? Swaraj at that time was enough for them because at that time they really did not think that they can be on their own completely. Somewhere they still had that, loyalty towards British. We have to see the times also. The times that we were living, in those days, loyalty and all were very big things. It mattered a lot to people. Somewhere people were thinking that for 200 years, British people are living in India. We developed a sort of affinity, you can say. Somewhere that it became, they were a part of us. So to shake them off completely was not an immediate thought. But continuously when they were not treating Indians well and when things were not going, when they were not allowing us to come forward and become, independent or give any strength to our voices, not solving our problems and persecuting us, exploiting us. When that happened for a very long time, that's when they started raising the voice. And in stages, they realized that ultimately Purna Swaraj or complete freedom only is the correct demand that we should have. Abhi tak wo stage aaya nahi. Did you understand? So that stage is going to come when the civil disobedience movement is going to start. That is the next stage. Okay, now they want Swaraj. Swaraj means they want to rule themselves, but within the British Empire. So now they're going to the next stage where they will say that we don't want that within the British Empire also. We want complete freedom. Okay, that is going to come now. We are going to see that. Okay, so there with this, the non-cooperation movement is over, and I trust you all have written all the answers from the notes and the question, this thing I have given, the worksheet. If you have not done it, please do it. Please be online. Okay, please complete everything online and keep revising. And what I was saying there, I think there is one question in that was, that is related to activities. Anushka Sundar has pointed out, what was the response of the people to the non-cooperation movement?
Ma'am, I had a doubt in that question.
Yeah, that question is related to activities of non-cooperation movement. You don't answer it. Okay, because that is
Okay,
not
ma'am.
in syllabus. Okay, just leave that question. Leaving that question, you can answer all other questions. Okay, now let's go to civil disobedience movement.
Should I continue?
No, I will be teaching from the PPT. Okay. Factors that led to civil disobedience movement. There were two factors. One is failure of Simon Commission, and the second is declaration of Purna Swaraj. Okay. So now first is Simon Commission, which happened in 1927. Okay. What is the Simon Commission? The Simon Commission was a group of 7 white people. Okay. 7 white people whose chairman was John Simon. John Simon was the chairman of a group of white people who had been sent to India, okay, by the British government in England to look at, suggesting any further constitutional reforms. What is the meaning of constitutional reforms? In 1919, that is before the non-cooperation movement was launched, in 1919, the British people had issued certain, means they made some changes to the administration. At that time only they decided that after 10 years, we must look into these reforms and we must see whether it is working or any further changes have to be made. So constitutional reforms means nothing but what are the laws, rules, regulations that are governing India, and if any changes have to be made. So mini constitution, okay, mini constitution that was being used to rule India. Any changes, should there be any changes, that should be made. So to look into that, they had sent a group of 7 people, and that 7 people were called the Simon Commission. Simon Commission, when they came, the whole of India boycotted the Simon Commission. Why? Because Simon Commission consisted only of white people and it did not have any Indians representing them. And this went against the principle of self-determination. What is the meaning of self-determination? Here we are fighting tooth and nail. We are doing all sorts of non-cooperation movement, that movement, this movement. We are trying to assert that Indians want a say in all the matters that govern them. We want to be in the government. We want Swaraj. We are demanding Swaraj, where we are saying that we will take care of ourselves and we will rule ourselves. Here we are fighting for that, and on one end, this is our demand, and on the other end, they are sending a group of people who are looking for changes, who are actually going to come and see whether any changes in the government have to be made. And in that group, not a single Indian is there. So what is the meaning of that group? That group is useless because it doesn't have any Indian representatives. So the changes, if you're making, it is for the people, and the people are Indians. If Indians themselves are not represented in that group, it's just an eyewash. It is just you're trying to show people that you are coming here and making reforms, isn't it? So it was a phony exercise, you can say. So that is why the people did not buy this. Indian people did not like it. And they said that this is absolute nonsense, where we are not there and they are coming and they are trying to make reforms for us. So we do not accept. So from day one, from the time the Simon Commission landed in India, and wherever they went, they were greeted with black flags and with slogans of Simon, go back and all. Okay. So everywhere. And why did the Indians protest? Because not a single Indian was part of the Simon Commission. And when they questioned, why Indians have not been included, so the British Governor General, he was very arrogant and he said that Indians are not capable of ruling themselves. You people are totally divided. You people are divided. You know, there is no unity among you. And how can you make a constitution or reforms for yourself? So you are not capable of making rules and regulations for your own self, because there is no unity or consensus among the various groups who are in India. So when he said that, people were very angry and upset, and they refused, and they decided to boycott this Simon. So now, did you understand what is the Simon Commission? So let me quickly read. Factors leading to civil disobedience. Simon Commission was appointed to investigate the need for further constitutional reforms. It constituted of 7 British members, but it did not have any Indians in it. This was seen as a deliberate insult to the self-respect of Indians. Indians were fighting for self-rule, and this clearly violated that principle. Clear? The Indian National Congress decided to boycott it at every stage. Wherever the commission went, it was greeted with black flags and the slogan, Simon, go back. And in fact, you know, when this protest became the Simon go back, Hartal was, you know, all India Hartal. Everywhere they were protesting. And in Punjab, Lala Lajpat Rai was leading this Hartal. And he was lathi charged by the police, and he succumbed to the injuries and he died. Remember in Lala Lajpat Rai's contributions, we read about this. I don't know if you remember.
We have written in
Yes,
question answers.
Yes, in the answers you have written that Lala Lajpat Rai died when the Simon Commission Hartal happened. So this is that, okay? So when Lala Lajpat Rai, he protested against this Simon Commission and he became the leader of this Hartal in Punjab. He succumbed to all the lathi blows that were rained by the police. Now, Simon Commission recommendations. Now, what happened? Simon Commission went ahead and gave its recommendations. Even though people boycotted the Simon Commission, they were not received properly. People, even though all this happened, they just went ahead and they said, we are going to study what is their existing system and we will give our recommendations and go. So they gave their set of recommendations. So that also can come as a question, what were the recommendations of Simon Commission? So what were the recommendations? One is diarchy should be abolished. What is diarchy? Diarchy means a system where a particular place is under the control of 2 governments. Are you understanding? There are 2 governments which are controlling one place. That system is called diarchy. Here I will stop this share and I will share one more document with you to explain diarchy. Yeah, so see this, just like we have now, those days also we had a central government and a provincial. Now we say state government, those days it was called provincial government, okay? Central legislature, provincial legislature. The government which was looking after the whole of India is central legislature. Government which was looking after the respective provinces is called the provincial legislature. Are we clear? There were areas which were directly controlled by the British provinces. They had the provincial legislature. Apart from this, there were areas which were being ruled by kings and they were puppet kings. Those were called the princely states. Are we now clear with what all these terminologies? You should know what they mean. Okay. So the central legislature, who were the people who were responsible there? The Governor General, who was the head of the entire country, okay, Governor General, and he had his own council. That means he had his own group of people who were appointed by the Governor General and they were helping him. Now this provincial, that means the provinces, each province had a governor, not Governor General. Please register this difference. Every province had a governor, whole of India had a Governor General. Clear? So the governor had, again, he had a council. Okay, he also had a council. Now in the provincial legislature, there was a provincial executive. Executive means the actual group which was, dealing with the day-to-day administration of the province. This provincial executive had 2 groups. One is this Governor General, who is responsible for the whole of India. Governor General and a group of people whom he appointed, they were making all the main laws and rules, even for the provinces. What does that mean? It meant that the provinces did not have autonomy. That means they did not have enough power to decide their own matters. What is affecting the provinces? The provinces wanted more say in those matters. They wanted to decide everything. But here, the union government only was doing that here also. And some local matters, small local inconsequential matters were given to another group. And that group was who were that group? That group was chosen by the governor, the elected members of the province. Elected members of the province means when elections used to happen in the province, Indians used to stand for elections and they used to get elected. From that group, a handful of people were chosen by the governor of that province. So he and those people used to look after ordinary, normal, simple affairs, provincial matters. You understood? Now here also, if Indians had decided something or they voted in favor of some law, that can be, the governor can use veto power and he can squash that also. He can cancel that law also if he is not in favor of it. Clear? So what is diarchy? Diarchy means a province which is being ruled by two sets of governments. Okay, major matters are still being decided by the Governor General and his council, and simple matters that are being decided by the Indians who are part of the legislative body. This system is called diarchy. Now you understood? Diarchy, nobody was liking diarchy because that was not giving enough powers to the provinces. Are we clear? It was not giving powers to the provinces. So the Simon Commission also felt that diarchy should be abolished. Are we clear now? So diarchy should be removed. That is what the Simon Commission said. Okay. So what were the recommendations? First is diarchy should be abolished. Second is provincial legislative council should be enlarged. That means if diarchy should be removed and the provinces should be given more autonomy. If provinces should be given more autonomy, more people should be elected and the provincial legislature should become big. Clear? So that they can handle their own affairs. So provincial legislative councils should be enlarged. That means more members should be elected to the provincial legislature. Then third is Governor General only should appoint the members of his cabinet. That was there before also, and the same recommendation that Governor General should choose the members of his cabinet. Are we clear? And the fourth one is British troops should stay in India for many, many more years. That means there was no maybe, Indians were demanding that the troops be removed from India. So they said no, British troops will remain in India for many, many more years. So there are 6-7 points which are the recommendations of Simon Commission, but you have to learn only 4. So I've picked easy points and simple and relevant points. Like diarchy should be abolished is a very important point. Okay, so whatever is important I've included in this. See, what is diarchy and all, you don't have to explain in the answer. Okay, they will not ask you. They will not ask you what is diarchy. I explained the system of diarchy for you to understand that a particular place is being governed by two separate bodies and clash of interest is there. Did you understand? Okay. You only have to write this exactly the way it is written here. You write and you get your marks. No problem. Diarchy should be abolished. Provincial legislative council should be enlarged. Governor General will select and appoint his own cabinet. British troops will stay in India for a very long time to come. This is the first reason. See, we have reasons which keep on building up and finally a movement is launched. Correct? So these are like 1927, this happened. All this 1927 and 1928. 2 years the Simon Commission and its recommendations and the protest against it and people not liking the Simon Commission, all this was going on. Okay, so this is one of the reasons which finally led to the launch of the civil disobedience movement. In our next class, we will see the second one, which is the declaration of Purna Swaraj. This is the second reason for launching the civil disobedience movement. Together,
Ma'am?
these, yeah.
Ma'am, on page 75 is that Nehru report in portion.
Nehru report is not there, beta. No, Nehru report is not
Okay.
there. You can strike off Nehru report. That is not there. Anyway, I told you, no, I'll send you the scanned images and that everything will be there. Whatever is cut, I will cut. Whatever has to be underlined, I will underline everything and I'll send it to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Are we now clear with the Simon Commission part?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
in the next class, we will see the, declaration of Purna Swaraj and the actual civil disobedience movement, what happened in that. You know, what did the whole country do? Okay, so we will see that. Have a good day, children.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.